But right now, we want to talk about the most interesting, the most surprising results as far as CPT throughout this entire season up to this point. The biggest upsets that we've had. We can start in so many different places. I think I want to start with, we just saw Papy versus Jamie. That one alone was a surprising one, man. Like, Jamie, that's one of those ones where we were hyping her up just out of this world. And we just knew it was pretty much a foregone conclusion. And Papy just comes up out of nowhere and actually gets that victory. I think the story of that one has to come down to just that new pressure. We've talked about it, man. Just Jamie's energy always so high, always confident, having a good time. But when it finally get close to winning time, I think that one just, the pressure finally set in. You get too close to Capcom Cup and it got dangerous. But I think next year, we definitely will. If we have the same format, I think we'll see Jamie in Capcom Cup.
If we had to run the same event a couple times, just based on past results, I can't speak to their personal set record. Maybe there's some different intel, but Jamie was just so dominant in that region with all the major events leading up to that point. It was about to be a three-peat, right? It was about to be Intel, Evo, and Capcom Pro Tour. So Papy to come out of there and not really being the heavy hitter in any of those events up till that point to just bring it from the brink of defeat and dominate like that in such electrifying fashion. That was a big upset. A fun one, though. It was very fun to watch because I couldn't predict what was going to happen next on the screen. So definitely a big upset there, but I think an even bigger one with maybe a few bigger names in the bracket might have been when the four Phils.
Oh man, fire, bro.
The four Phils, that was another one of those pre-shows where I think we highlighted him shortly, but the story was all about, is it going to be Problem X, Infectious, or is it going to be Hurricane? Because Hurricane was the one dominating all that time, right? Dominating, but the person right behind him claiming the second places or the first places when he would get the victory in Salt Mine League and the regular weeklies that they were having was the four Phils. So it's not like he was out of the question, or he was definitely one of the top 5 people you would, or at least minimum top 8 people you would mention to be in that running. But to actually get the victory on that day, I don't think people would have called that.
No, I don't think so either. I love the fact you brought this one up, man. I remember in that set, Fields was actually on winner's side of Grand Finals because Problem actually had lost to Hurricane coming into that top 8 on winner's side. That's when there was all that controversy and everything. But Problem, being the elite player that he is, the Puma sponsor esports athlete that he is, he fought all the way back to make it to Grand Finals. Problem is actually up 2-1 on Four Fields. And Four Fields has to guess for a game on his wake up. He has to guess for the reset at that spot. And he wakes up with the critical art, bro, in a situation like that. And the critical art hits. He still had to close out the round with one more to clutch it out in a situation like that. And then in the very the very next round from there, he actually got a big comeback as well. And from there, it was like, okay, well, the momentum is just so squarely on his side that he won that last game. But momentum, it matters so much. Sometimes there's just that one big spot that can change the complexion of an entire tournament. And I think that's what we saw right there. But as hype as that was, bro, we got to talk about Higuchi beating Sako in Japan too. Now that was an interesting one to put in an upset one because
I don't know about that one.
Because
debatable.
I feel like if you're uninitiated, you wouldn't know.
It's an upset in the sense where it's maybe not the favorite. However, the writing was on the wall. This is not something that was like totally unpredictable. The four Phils kind of like that as well. I feel like the ingredients were all there, but to see it all put together on that day was what makes it an upset. Higuchi, I feel like it was already in the oven a little bit.
We gave him his flowers before the event.
Right. He was already doing work at Topanga League. He got second there, an amazing performance, coming close to winning one of the hardest league type tournaments that exists for Street Fighter, right? That's a very prestigious event, and maybe the Western audiences don't tune in as much or see the results. But when you see someone do that well in the league format, which features all these players that you see in the CPT top 8s in Japan.
And first to sevens, no less.
And first to sevens, that means you're not getting any quick wins. You have to have a long-term strategy. Stability, basically, is what that says. You have a stable way to consistently get wins. It's in an upset. maybe in terms of like, you know, I kind of favor Sako for being in that position for years at this point, where Higuchi is a much younger player, kind of new in this position. But in terms of the skill, the ability to play, he's already demonstrated that he was at that level.
Yeah, I agree with that, bro. And you know, honestly, the Higuchi one, like I said, I know for Reikemans, we did not bring him up, which we swung and missed on that one. But as far as Sport Fields, of course, we did bring him up, but our main focus was the other three that you mentioned there. But with Higuchi, we're bringing him up heavy, with him and Kawano being some of the favorites in that tournament. So of course, times change, man. Higuchi is really that guy right now, man. I think he's a big threat at Capcom Cup as well. I don't think that's really debatable. So I'm not too surprised he would win that.
So yeah, Higuchi, like I said, I think he was kind of a top tier player in the making for a long time. So upset maybe to some, but I think for like people like me and you who have ears to the street, we could maybe say it was in due time he was going to get that win. But I think one that it counts as a big upset, the people who like me and you were in tune to the streets, is Billy Date taking CPT South Africa.
Oh man!
I think statistically or like lore wise, this is the biggest upset I think of all crazy. CPT. I know we got another one to talk about, but leading up to the South Africa event, you know, we're doing some research into the scene, gathering some intel. I discussed with a lot of players there, like the power levels for the relative players, and the talk of the town was Jobby M being the guy to beat. And even leading up to this event, you know, they had a few major events in South Africa prior to CPT with like Red Bull Hit the Streets. Jobby M, he's the guy winning. They had sets on Capcom Fighters between these two players, Billy Date and Jobby. Jobby M, he's the one who won the sets. Come time for CPT, and Billy Date is the one who comes out on top.
Surprised the hell out of me.
Like, Billy was definitely the second runner, like the person we predicted to kind of be in grand finals, but Jobby had consistently up till that point.
You knew who was going to take it.
Event after event. And I feel like more than just the skill level, because I feel like they're you could see that they're equal level. Like, even though Billy won, right, even prior to this, you can see in the play style, it's not like they were leagues apart. You know, it's not like I would look at their quality of play and be like, oh, it would be an upset if Billy won. That's not why it's an upset. It's an upset because of the history and the storyline and the momentum of a player leading up to this moment. Jobby M was the guy that everyone picked to win.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
And
that's
I
true.
even asked him, I spoke to him directly. I was like, how do you feel about this pressure? And like, how do you feel personally? Do you feel like you're in that position where like you're kind of expected to win? He was like, yeah, you know, like this is
before the tournament. Before the tournament,
right? And he said, he mentioned like, yeah, I mean, it's definitely pressure. Like, he acknowledged it, but he said, you know, if he can keep his mind composed, keep cool under pressure, I think he can close out. And yeah, it was this. I feel like that really embodied the pressure cooker situation of it's all coming down to this moment. You know, CPT is highlighting some underrepresented regions. It's a big spotlight on your region. You've been the guy to beat. And then here comes Billy Date to kind of pull the rug from under your feet a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that was a big upset.
Yeah, Brian, you actually caught me by surprise with that one, bro, because that definitely was, though. That had to be the biggest upset so far in this entire CPT.